So my first year part-time, these are just my numbers. I've been doing it for about 5 years. First year part-time, I did 120,000. Again, just was pretty cool. You know, Amazon sales channel so strong. Second year, I was full-time for 6 months. I did 400,000. Third year, full-time, the entire year, did 900,000. Last year, I did 1.8 million. This year, I'll do over 3 million in sales. So pretty much have almost doubled every single year. Now, I would have never been able to do that if I was still doing, you know, what people call retail arbitrage, although there are some big sellers that do it. But I didn't want to have to build out a team. And so that's kind of the beauty about private labeling. I'm able to scale up and do large numbers like that. And I don't necessarily need a team to shop for me. You know, I can pretty much do it all online and have the supplier ship it to a warehouse and then ship it into Amazon. So I'm 100% now private label on Amazon. So those are my products, my brands that again, I import from overseas and then sell on Amazon.
I got started on Amazon at the end of 2014. Was also kind of part-time. I had a online life insurance business, which was actually doing very well. But I just kind of enjoyed online marketing. So I saw, you know, a Shopify dropshipping course that I started with, and I found out about Amazon and Chris Green, and kind of started the same, probably like, you know, like you and Andy and a lot of the people that are watching this, with retail arbitrage, going to stores and you know, even had like a guy that would come with me sometimes to Nike, and we would, like, you know, spend, you know, $5,000 in one shot, like buy a bunch of shoes and go and pack and ship it into Amazon. But then, you know, a few things happened that really drove me into private label. One, I really wanted to scale. And I knew unless I did have this team of shoppers and things like that, I wouldn't really be able to do that. And two, I started getting some inauthentic claims, you know, especially with, like, when you're selling Nikes and stuff. And I realized, you know, if I really want to scale, I need to, you know, build my own brand. And at the time, I, you know, been following Andy, took his course, and really got into private label, and then really started, you know, networking with Andy, met him at a conference, and that's kind of how we, you know, partnered up to do training. Yeah, I've been building. I've mainly 2 private label brands that I'm building up. Did 1.6 this year, 1.6 million in sales, and I think next year we'll do somewhere between 3 and 5 million. You know, I'm kind of setting myself up also to be able to build a brand and something that I can sell for, you know, 7 to 8 figures in the next few years, if that's, you know, something I want to do.
One of the examples I give often is, if you look at like Amazon Basics, that's a generic brand that Amazon makes, and they actually sell a number of things. I was just looking at outdoor trash cans the other day, and Amazon has one. It's an Amazon Basics outdoor trash can. I was looking at luggage the other day, because my luggage always gets broke. I'm not sure what they do, you know, when you fly on a plane and they put them in the luggage bins. And so I'm looking for like a heavy duty, you know, like army proof luggage, right? That's not going to, you know, get blown up. And what do I see? I see Amazon Basics, you know, heavy duty luggage. And so, you know, basically, you know, it's the same thing that a name brand luggage, like what's the one, Samsonite, right? So they're like the name brand luggage company. Well, Amazon goes to the same factory probably that makes that Samsonite luggage, and they get the exact same build, you know, for their luggage. They just put Amazon Basic on that luggage. But it's pretty much the exact same thing, but Amazon charges, you know, $50 less for theirs than what you're going to pay for a name brand like Samsonite. And so at the foundational level of it, that's really what it is. You're going to the same manufacturers often that make products for Disney or other name brand companies, and you're getting your product manufactured under your brand or under my brand, you know, just call it Andy's brand. So I don't know if you would add to that, Leron.
Yeah, I would say, you know, in its simplest terms, private label is just putting your logo on a product, right? The you know, the reason why a company like Disney can have major success with products, right? It's all about the marketing, right? So, you know, the first part is, you know, putting your logo on a product, but the idea is, how to take advantage of a platform like Amazon, where Amazon already brings you all the traffic, right? All the customers, and to identify the right type of products that you want to private label, right? Because there's going to be great opportunities, and there's going to be some opportunities that aren't great, right? Like, I'm not going to go out and create a diaper brand, right? Because the first thing I ask myself when I look at a potential private label product is, can I think of a major brand when I think about this product, right? So if it's diapers, I think of Huggies or Loves or Pampers right away, right? But when I think of when I think of a case for my headphones that I'm wearing, I don't know, right? It might not. I don't immediately think of, like, I need a headphone case. What brand should I go to, right? So those are the type of products that are your first step in identifying. And so, learning how to find those opportunities and how to brand them and how to master the marketing behind it is what we do with private labeling. Because you could take a logo and put it on something and completely fail. You could take a logo and put it on something and have massive, massive success and millions of dollars in sales.
I didn't really have plans to do private labeling, to be honest. I was actually selling a product of a manufacturer who was in China. And so, this was a brand, they actually sell themselves on Amazon. They were just getting started. I was able to connect with them, and they allowed me to share the buy box basically with their product. Obviously, they marked the product up to me. So I was selling that, and the sales velocity was really good, having a good time doing that for about 4 or 5 months, right? And then they sent me an email, and they said, hey, you know what? We're not going to allow other sellers to continue to sell our brand because they wanted the buy box 100% of the time. So that was actually devastating for me. I had just went full time selling on Amazon. I'd quit my job, and this particular product was really was doing really well for me. And so I tried to talk him out of it. I was like, no, let me do it. I can help you. I can like market for you here in America. But they were pretty hardcore. They're like, no, we're not going to allow you to sell our brand. But they said, what we will do is we'll sell you the product, and if you come up with your own brand, we'll put that on the product. And so I'm like, okay, I'm getting an echo here. And so I wasn't like super excited about that. I was actually really nervous because I understood that I had to come up with a brand name. I had to figure out how to create a listing. Up to that point, I'd been selling on Amazon for 14 months, Steve. I had never created a listing before. I had done it on eBay, but I'd never done it on Amazon. I always just listed against, existing products with their UPC. And so I was like, oh man, super nervous. But I said, okay, you know what? As I started to look into private labeling more, it made sense. And this is, these are the reasons why it made sense. Number one, it meant that I would have the buy box 100% of the time. Number two, it meant that I was actually building a brand that hopefully eventually I'll be able to sell someday if I ever want to exit out of that brand. Whereas when I'm just selling against other products or when I'm wholesaling, you really don't have control of your brand like you do with private label. So I saw this kind of as the top of the pyramid. If somebody starts a company, I was watching a video the other day about Dr. Dre when he started Beats, right? Some guy was like, a big mogul was walking along the beach, came to him and said, hey, Dre, we should start a headphone company. And Dre was like, what are you talking about, man? He said, yeah. So he said, all right. So he started Beats. And we all know the end of that story. He sold it for, bazillion dollars, right, to Apple. But he was able to do that because he created this brand. And, that's very similar to what Liron and I are doing. We're selling on Amazon. We're making really good margins. We have the buy box 100% of the time. And then we're creating brand that has value that one day we'll be able to sell it. So those are some of the reasons why I got into private label.
And, Steve, one of the things you mentioned, and it's a very valid question, right? When somebody says, well, doesn't it seem like really complicated, right? Building a brand and like, how do you do it? And, my answer to that is that everything before you do it the first time seems really hard. For me, it was when I started with private label, I shipped everything by air, even if it was heavier items that didn't make sense because I was so daunted by shipping by boat. Like, what is that all about? And getting your product to a port and getting it to Amazon. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through the steps one time. I'm going to contact the freight forwarder. I'm going to go through the process. I'm like, man, what was I so afraid of? Right? It's so easy. right? But it's just taking those steps, right? And it's the same thing. Like there are people right now that have never sold a product on Amazon. If you do retail arbitrage and you tell them like, yeah, I sell products on Amazon, like, whoa, how do you do that, right? They have no clue how you sitting there today doing whatever model you're doing are doing that, right? And it would seem very difficult for them to do. So it's all about really taking the first step and taking action and going step by step. And it's an evolution and a journey of what you're going to get to. When I started private label, I didn't know where that would take me. I didn't know it would end up building two brands. Like, it's just an evolution that you go through. And I think it's making, having that resolve to take the steps necessary to get there. And then it's not hard once you do it.